Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're all joining us from across different time zones. Welcome to the virtual conference in celebration of Sahel's 10th anniversary with the theme Zero Hunger, Africa's Private Sector Driving Innovation and Growth. My name is Frank Aibogun. I am CEO and publisher at Business Day Nigeria, a leading independent news media outlet in Nigeria. And I will be your host for this virtual conference. Today we mark the celebration of Sahel's 10 years of innovation, and excellence in agriculture and the nutrition space. The Sahel Group consists of Sahel Consulting Agriculture and Nutrition Limited, simply known as Sahel Consulting, as well as Sahel Capital Agri Business Managers Limited, Sahel Capital, and Nourish Africa. These companies are led by capable and passionate individuals who have garnered decades of expertise working in national and international markets and value chains, with a passion to transform Africa's agriculture and nutrition landscape and to create strong agri-led economic growth within the region. Before we proceed, a few housekeeping rules. On Hopping, the conference platform we are currently using, you will find several tabs located on your left if you are using a PC or laptop, or at the bottom of your screen if you are using a phone. The main stage is where we are right now. The panel discussion later on will be in a section on Hopping. After this conference, take a look at the exhibit, and we assure you will surely be engaged all through this afternoon. The networking tab will be activated towards the end of the conference, where you'll be able to engage and connect with one another. The hashtags for this conference are Sahel at 10 and Zero Hunger. We would love for you to tweet at us, share your thoughts or comments on our conversations. Send your comments to Sahel Consulting, Sahel Capital, Nourishing Africa's Twitter and Instagram handles at Sahel Consulting, at Sahel Capital, and at Nourish Africa. Today we have an exciting lineup of thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators joining us to discuss the critical issue of food security on our continent. We will be hearing from our keynote speakers, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Rajiv Shah, the president of the Rockefeller Foundation, Dr. Agnes Kalibala, the president of Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, and Dr. Lawrence Haddad, the executive director of Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Gain. We will engage in a short discussion with the amazing entrepreneur, Dr. Cosmos Maduka. We also have over 20 panelists who are local and international entrepreneurs and innovators, and will be speaking on a range of topics such as economic transformation, technology and innovation, big data, as well as women in agriculture. To get the ball rolling, it's my pleasure to introduce the co-founder and managing partner of Sahel and a very good friend of mine, Ndidi Oneli, to give us the welcome address. Ndidi.
Thank you so much, Frank. It is really a pleasure and a privilege to be here. And I want to thank you for agreeing to be a host. We know how busy your schedule is and how much you have on your plate. So it's truly an honor and privilege to welcome all of you to the 10th anniversary. I woke up today really excited, but grateful to God. You know, when we look at 10 years, companies don't survive even the first 5 years. And it's really the grace and the mercy of God that has gotten us this far. I just want to thank all of you who have taken the time to join us today, our friends, our partners, our colleagues, our co-laborers in the food and agriculture landscape, our partners, our funders. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sticking with us over the last 10 years and for your wonderful support. I got into this sector full-time in 2008, really driven by a passion and motivation to transform the sector. And it was at the heart of the food crisis in 2008. I saw firsthand the impact of hunger on the lives of people. And I saw how deep the issues were on our continent. I also learned very quickly that we're naturally endowed for agricultural excellence, and there's no reason why we should be in this situation. So working in partnership with my husband, Mr. Mezu Muneli, we decided to set up Sahel Capital, which eventually became Sahel Consulting, Sahel Capital, and now Nourishing Africa, 3 amazing companies. Over the last 10 years, I've learned some very important things, and I'll only share 2 with you. The first is that nobody, no external force, no funder, and no other country can solve Africa's food and agriculture challenges. We as entrepreneurs must transform this ecosystem. We as Africans must transform this ecosystem. It is unacceptable for us to be in this situation. We should feel that anger, that determination, and that passion to do something about it. The second is that entrepreneurs and the private sector have to drive the transformation we need. No government, no development partner can do it. Entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of this sector. They drive innovation, they drive technology, they bring in vibrant ideas, and they are responsible for what it takes to transform this sector. 2020 has reinforced how important this ecosystem is and how critical food and agriculture is to our economy and to our future. We have 10 years to achieve the SDGs, zero hunger, and I believe it is possible in our lifetime. But it's going to take collaborative efforts. It's going to take an enabling environment by our policymakers. It's going to take every one of you, partners, youth, leaders, to work collaboratively across the divide in the trade and investment category, gender, climate change, folks in financing, we need catalytic financing. Across the board, we need to work together to unlock the potential in this sector. I'm looking forward to today. I mean, we have been just blessed with a plethora of amazing speakers, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for devoting the time to this. Our keynote speakers are exceptional. And in fact, someone sent us a message saying, you know, you have the A-list of people in the agriculture and food sector. And that's just a testimony to the good work we've done, but also to the focus that we realize everybody needs to work together to solve the challenges in our sector. I'll leave you with my favorite proverb. And it says, if I tell you my dream, you might forget it. If I act on my dream, perhaps you'll remember it. But if I involve you, it becomes your dream too. I tell you that working at Sahel and involving the young, dynamic Africans on our teams just makes me proud that I've been able to involve so many people in this dream. And I'm inviting you today to join us in this dream. The dream of achieving zero hunger by 2030. The dream of proving that Africa can nourish itself and the world. The dream of ensuring that every child born on this continent has access to affordable, nutritious food and can live full and meaningful lives because they deserve it. I believe we can achieve this, and I look forward to achieving this dream with you. So stay tuned for an exciting, exciting conference. Please ask questions, debate, network, and form new partnerships. I want today to be a landmark, not just in our lives at Sahel, but in each of your lives. Once again, thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for believing in us. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Wonderful. Been at this for 10 years on a full-time basis. I know her enough to say that when she says full-time, it really is full-time. But the important thing is she has belief, she has passion, and for a smart lady, I think we can see what she can do in the 10 years ahead of us if we look at what has so far been achieved in the last 10 years. We will make some progress. I hope you are starting to get into the groove. Immediately say thank you to Ndidi for welcoming us, and then go on to introduce Temi Adegoroye, an associate partner at Sahel Consulting, Olumide Lawson, a partner at Sahel Capital, Anifi Umunna, program lead of Nourishing Africa. They will join me shortly, and just interesting perspectives, which I am sure you would find quite engaging as we very quickly make the transition.
My name is Temi Adegore, Financial Partner at Sahel Consulting. I'm highly honored and privileged to be here and to welcome you all to our 10th anniversary celebration, which marks an important milestone in our history. While thinking about the future, it is also important to celebrate past achievements and reflect on our journey during the past 10 years. In the next few minutes, I and my colleagues, Olumide Lawson, partner at Sahel, and Ife Umuna, program lead at Nourishing Africa, will be talking, about our impact so far. We'll be, talking about our partners, our team, and facing our collective future. The Sahel Group consists of Sahel Consulting Agriculture and Nutrition Limited, Sahel Capital Agribusiness Managers Limited, and Nourishing Africa, led by individuals who have garnered decades of experience in national and international markets and value chains, with a common passion to transform Africa's agriculture and nutrition landscape, to create strong agricultural sector-led economic growth within the region. We started as Sahel Capital Partners and Advisory Limited in 2010 to provide advisory and financial services to various clients. In 2013, Sahel Capital was selected to manage the Fund for Agricultural Finance in Nigeria. And in 2016, Sahel Capital Agribusiness Managers Limited was born as a private equity firm focused on managing investment in agribusiness. In 2017, Sahel Capital Partners and Advisory Limited changed its name to Sahel Consulting, Agriculture and Nutrition Limited, to embrace its focus on management consulting and focus on agriculture and nutrition landscape in Africa. Sahel Consulting also established NourishingAfrica.com in 2019 to provide a platform for agriculture and food entrepreneurs to collaborate and share resources. Sahel Consulting has a vision to be recognized as the most trusted consulting partner and point of reference in the African agricultural landscape. Our mission is to transform Africa's agriculture and nutrition landscape through tailored, innovative, and market-based research in order to impact our communities and achieve sustainable growth. We are committed to transforming Africa's agriculture and nutrition landscape. In order to achieve this, we partner with government agencies, private sector companies, and leading international development organizations to conduct in-depth market research on key value chains, analyze and shape policies, develop strategies, launch innovative business and ecosystem solutions, organize convenings, and provide training programs that promote sustainable agricultural development across Africa. We are currently working across West Africa, but we're also exploring opportunities across the continent. Through our work, we are impacting our communities and improving the life of farmers and other stakeholders across several value chains. We are leading the implementation of a private sector-led program in the dairy value chain in partnership with 6 dairy processors to deliver various combinations of interventions, such as farmer organization, infrastructure development, productivity improvement, financial inclusion, income support, training and extension, and policy advocacy. We're also supporting the implementation of programs focused on strengthening the seed systems of crops across West Africa in partnership with research institutes, private sector companies, government, and development organizations. One of our ongoing programs, the Yam Improvement for Income and Food Security in West Africa Phase 2 project, commonly known as YISWA 2. We are aiming to increase the productivity of yam cultivation by 30% for at least 320,000 smallholder yam farmers in Nigeria and Ghana by providing tailored business advisory and market support to key actors such as the research institute and private seed companies. Also, under the Building an Economically Sustainable Integrated Seed System for Cassava in Nigeria, Basics 2, we are enhancing fast access to affordable, quality-assured of improved cassava varieties by supporting integrated cassava processors to produce cassava stems with profit maximizing benefits for their farms and outgrowers. We have also collaborated with various partners to develop strategies and implement strategies. We have collaborated with partners to launch innovative businesses and ecosystem solutions. Under the ACMA project, Approach Communal Polymatch Agricole, we provided market linkages between smallholder producers of crops such as maize, palm oil, soya bean in the Republic of Benin with buyers in Nigeria. We will not be speaking about our efforts and achievements in the African agricultural landscape today without the support of our wonderful partners over the years. We have worked with a range of ecosystem partners such as government agencies and parastatals, development organizations, private sector companies, and NGOs to amplify our voice and contribute to the transformation of the food and agricultural landscape. We also have a dynamic team of professionals and capable field research team who are passionate about agriculture and committed to excellence.
According to Africa's Agriculture Status Report released in 2019 by AGRA, 80% of Africa's food consumption is marketed and handled mostly through private operators. These operators are driven by entrepreneurs who provide inputs, logistics, processing, and distribution of critical foods and cash crops, livestock, and other support services. However, these entrepreneurs are referred to as the hidden middle because they are mostly small businesses that face numerous challenges on a daily basis. These challenges include, but aren't even limited to, building strong brands, finding appropriate financing, linking to markets, and accessing training opportunities to build capacity for both themselves and their teams. Nourishing Africa was established to address these challenges, with our mission to drive the profitable and sustainable growth of the African agriculture and food landscape. Nourishing Africa is a digital knowledge and membership platform aimed at helping agri-food entrepreneurs scale their businesses. Our work is all geared towards the vision of a flourishing, sustainable, and just ecosystem that leverages ag tech and digital innovation to ensure that the continent nourishes itself and becomes net exporters of food to the world. So how do we do this? Through our membership portal, we have created a virtual community for these entrepreneurs from farm to fork. On the platform, they're able to find the latest resources and tools and opportunities in the landscape. They're able to connect with each other and to new customers, suppliers, and to distributors. They're able to access a digital marketplace to advertise and sell their services, gain expertise, and access to mentorship and exclusive offerings in the agriculture and food landscape. And they're able to leverage our investors and service provider matchmaking system that brings them tailored investment and support services. Through several knowledge and capacity building efforts, we provide access to training, courses, podcasts, and accelerator programs, all aimed at building capacity for entrepreneurs and their workforce. Since our last year, September 2019, we've been able to attract and support over 6 African agri-food SMEs across 33 countries across Africa. We facilitated knowledge sharing sessions in 4 out of the 5 regions and provided weekly knowledge, data, and opportunities to over 5,000 agri-food stakeholders in Africa. And this is just the beginning. We've also partnered with strong organizations across the globe to provide funding and technical assistance to our members and to expand our reach and support to agripreneurs. These include the MasterCard Foundation, IBAN, FCMB and Sterling Bank, and the Food and Land Coalition. Agri-food entrepreneurs are the lifeline and centerpiece of our food system. And so it's imperative that we build strong, resilient ecosystems with them at the center to ensure that we build food secure and sustainable and reliable systems within Africa to ensure that we achieve our goal of our mutual goal of zero hunger.
Hello everyone, and welcome once again. My name is Olumide Lawson, and I'm a partner at Sahel Capital's Agribusiness Managers Division. For a few minutes, I'll be sharing with you who we are and what we are doing to ensure that we achieve our vision as the foremost food and agricultural private investment firm in Africa. Our journey at Sahel Capital started with the conviction that the Nigerian agricultural sector is poised for growth, offering attractive investment opportunities, and that potential of that sector is far from being realized. But we did not stop at that conviction. The principals of Sahel decided to put their money where their mouth is and invested their private funds in a greenfield spice and seasoning processor in 2010. Our passion and drive for the agricultural sector continued until 2013. Sahel was appointed as the fund manager to the first agriculture-focused private equity fund in Nigeria. The fund had its first close in 2014 and its final close in 2017 at $66 million. Today, this fund is invested in various companies in diversified sectors across various geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Like I mentioned, Sahel Capital manages the Fund for Agricultural Finance in Nigeria, FAFIN, the first food and agriculture-focused fund in Nigeria. Sahel Capital is not only generating strong financial returns for FAFIN, but also creating significant social and economic impact for the Nigerian agricultural sector, including increased employment and revenues for SMEs, inclusive economic growth via smallholder farmer reach, and improved food security and improved efficiency of various value chains. We manage capital for both the Nigerian government and several international development finance institutions. At Sahel, through our $66 million fund, we have increased the capital available for agriculture in Nigeria and invested across the dairy, edible oils, poultry, cassava, rice, shea, and packaging subsectors. Sahel Capital is addressing the intrinsic challenges in the sector by enabling access to patient capital, increasing the use of mechanization to boost on-farm productivity, increasing cultivation of arable land, and increasing value-added processing. To grow local rice production, we invested to commit a 36,000 metric ton per year rice mill, and also implemented an irrigation system to increase yields. Not only that, we invested in the largest value-add capacity processor of shea in West Africa, bridging the gap between the rural female nut pickers, estimated at 2.2 million, and growing global shea demand. We're also contributing towards eliminating malnutrition in northern Nigeria through our investment in an integrated dairy processor, helping over 1.2 million children overcome malnutrition through the supply of highly nutritious yogurts. We have directly created over 850 jobs, increasing revenues in portfolio companies by almost 210%, and directly impacted over 9,000 smallholder farmers. Annually, our portfolio companies aggregate about 10,000 metric tons of rice paddy, 5,000 metric tons of cassava, 11,000 metric tons of shea, 360,000 liters of milk, and 1.6 million poultry beds, contributing towards improved food security and indirectly increasing income for over 62,000 smallholder farmers. As I close, I would like to introduce you to the men and women of Sahel Capital. The Sahel Capital team has solid networks throughout Nigeria, enabling them to identify, diligence, invest in high return and high impact agricultural SMEs, and provide the necessary support to grow these businesses. These ladies and gentlemen work hard, play hard, but are extremely focused to ensure we achieve our vision to be recognized as the foremost food and agricultural private investment firm in Africa. Thank you very much, and happy 10th anniversary to us all.
Africa is projected to nearly double in size by 2050, with the population hitting about 2.4 billion. This presents opportunities for growth and economic diversification. Though we are facing some critical realities, such as climate change, high post-harvest losses and processing, high rates of malnutrition, gender inequity, infrastructure, talent and financing gaps, we're also motivated by major promising trends, such as digitalization for agriculture, several technological innovations, youth engagement, growing middle class, interest in healthy diets, and focus on equity. While I close, I would like to mention that we are proud of our roots, our efforts, and what we have achieved over the last 10 years. We excitedly look forward to leveraging the promising trends, expanding our footprint to many African countries and contributing to strong agricultural-led economies. Thank you so much for listening to us. I do hope you enjoy our event today. Let's have a wonderful celebration. Thank you.
Sahel Consulting Agriculture and Nutrition Limited is a leading management consulting firm committed to unlocking Africa's agriculture and nutrition potential through tailored, innovative, and market-based research, strategic advisory services, training, and project implementation, thereby impacting communities and achieving sustainable growth. Sahel Consulting's vision is to be recognized as the most trusted consulting partner and point of reference in the African agriculture and nutrition landscape, integral to building effective and efficient value chains and attaining food security.
We're very proud of our partnership with Sahel. We are implementing partners on the Aldin program with Sahel as the lead. We've also been fortunate to have Sahel help Technocell produce the first ever business case for food fortification in Nigeria. Sahel has consistently demonstrated their passion for Nigeria, their love for agriculture, their never say die attitude, their focus on building leaders for tomorrow, their attention to details, and their continuous pursuit for perfection in everything that they do.
I have to say that one of the big things, the capes that makes Sahel stands out in the industry is their delivery and organizational discipline. They can organize and deliver work to the appreciation of the customer and deliver on time. I have asked them to manage initially one program for me on dairy development in Nigeria, and we work very hard with them along with my other colleagues in BMGF to do some starting pilot work that help everybody to learn about approaches for enhancing smallholder dairy development in our country, and they did styling work, especially in critical relationship building with the private sector-led processors. And it is my fervent hope that Sahel will develop into a compelling consultancy and project management firm that will become a true firm in the development space in agriculture in Nigeria.
One area that we must give credit to them is their support for the Commercial Dairy Ranchers Association of Nigeria, Quadrant, which I'm the president. Outside our individual companies, now as an industry, Aldin is supporting the association in areas of advocacy, in areas of research and access to data, support in areas of policy framework by the concerned ministries, and I wish them success and congratulations for the perseverance. Not easy, and I hope we'll have good reason to celebrate 20 years in the next decade.
It is my pleasure to congratulate the management and staff of Sahel Consulting for this 10-year anniversary. I want to place on record the significant partnership our two organizations have had in the last 10 years. Like we do in any ESG, once we see that you work in the interest of the nation, we just throw you in there. And we're about to throw the entire Sahel Consulting into a number of work around the agri-policy space. My joy is that they spent 10 years. I see them doing much more than 10 years, and I look forward to their commitment to ensuring that zero hunger, ensuring that the SDG goals are attained, and ensuring that Nigeria works for all of us.
Wow, great to be a part of this 10-year milestone, achievement celebration, and even more appreciative to have been a partner with the Sahel team on advancing its vision over the past several years. There are so many fond experiences to consider. We've worked together on several seed studies and investigations to develop out strategies for systemic change. We've early generation seed system interventions, such as bringing SAH to cassava processing sector in basics, and working with IETA through its aeroponics and hydroponics systems to build capacity within Nigerian seed companies for a formal yam seed system. And we've even piloted to market novel nutritional crops through our Rich Oats for Africa efforts. You've welcomed us into the Sahel offices as though they were our second homes in Nigeria. You've kindly gifted us honored Nigerian names and kaftans, welcoming us to be part of your extended family. Sincerely, it has been deeply enriching to have worked so closely with the Sahel team. There are so many reflections to share. Perhaps today, the one that stands out most is the Sahel's leadership to Sahel at 20. Just imagine the transformation you will have led and how far we will have gone together by then.
And let me say thank you to Temi and Ife for helping to put a context to our event this afternoon. And if you're just joining me, welcome to Sahel at 10 virtual conference with the team Zero Hunger, Africa's private sector driving innovation and growth. As we saw in the video that we have just watched, Sahel Consulting continues to create impact in all the areas of endeavor that they have chosen, especially in agriculture and the food space. On that note, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker this afternoon, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President, African Development Bank, AFDB. Dr. Adesina is the 8th elected president of the African Development Bank Group. He's a globally renowned development economist and agricultural development expert with more than 30 years of international experience. As Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria, serving from 2011 to 2015, Dr. Adesina turned the agriculture sector of Nigeria around within 4 years. Under his leadership, Nigeria ended 40 years of corruption in the fertilizer, procurement, and distribution sector by developing and implementing an innovative electronic wallet system which directly provided farmers with subsidized farm inputs at scale using their mobile phones with reach to over 15 million farmers. He's a firm believer in a private sector-led growth and believes that agriculture in Nigeria can move from subsistence to a viable business that successfully attracts $5.6 billion in private sector investment. Prior to his appointment as Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Adesina was the Vice President, Policy and Partnerships of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, where he led several bold and innovative policy and finance initiatives that leveraged over $4 billion in bank finance commitments to Africa's agriculture sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Dr. Adesina as he delivers his keynote address. Dr. Adesina.
Greetings to you all. I wish to congratulate Sahel Capital on the occasion of its 10th anniversary. I am delighted to share in your very special day. Sahel Capital is the outcome of power of vision, tenacity, diligence, and the ability to stay focused on delivering results. What's unique as well is that it's been run by a dynamic couple, Mesro and Ndidi Iwuneli. Now, I think you must have a relationship to be married and be in business together and doing it all so well. After all, the common saying is that when money enters, love goes out of the window. Well, for you, it looks like both money and love arrive within the household. That's great, well done. Yet both of you are so different as well. Indeed is ebullient and very outgoing, and Mizwe is so quiet, down to earth, methodical. You better believe that. They, however, share something in common. They are both smart and have a passion for development. Now, I met both of them at different times. When I was Minister of Agriculture of Nigeria, I had great memories from them. I was engrossed in my drive, of course, to transform agriculture in Nigeria. We were having visible and rapid successes and all across the agricultural value chains, from rice to cassava to maize to soybeans to dairy to cocoa, oil palm, livestock, and others. We had ignited a massive revolution. Now, the core of that transformation was what I call government-enabled, private sector-driven agricultural transformation. Now, the role of the government was simply to enable, and the role of the private sector was to develop and integrate the agricultural value chains. Of course, I recognize that these gains will not be sustained unless government puts in the private sector at the very heart of the transformation and ensures that there are vehicles that will ensure access to financing to the private sector. The banks have started to lend more to agriculture due to the great successes of the NISAL facility to de-risk lending by banks to the agriculture sector, which I had helped to establish with the then Central Bank Governor Sanusi Lamido and the Nigerian Bankers Committee. Our efforts transformed commercial lending to agriculture. Think about it. NISAL became an instant success. The share of agriculture in the overall lending portfolio of commercial banks rose from a minuscule 0.5% to 5% in a short period of time. The default rate at the time, 0%. NISAL is today a non-bank financial institution and the only one in Africa fully dedicated to de-risking lending by banks at scale into the agricultural sector. Now, but small and medium-sized agribusinesses were finding it hard to get financing structure to help them to grow their businesses. The financing by banks, for them, was at high interest rates. For the short term, not matching the maturity of the agricultural investments. Now, I saw a huge opportunity to develop a private equity fund that will support the small and medium-sized agribusinesses. Now, with my very bright senior advisor, Ada Osakwe, we embarked on this journey to develop that vehicle. The KFW, Germany's development bank, was so excited. They teamed up with us in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. We worked at an amazing speed. From the conceptualization of the idea to the actual launch of the fund took just about 12 months, a remarkable speed. Now, I recall at the time, the director of KFW said they had never seen anything like that anywhere in the world they've been working. Now, we had a buzz about Nigeria. Now, I took a bold decision to put in $20 million from the government into the fund, this government money, and $750,000 for technical assistance facility to ensure that the businesses had technical assistance. KFW joined in with an additional $14 million. The Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund put in $10 million. The African Development Bank put in $9 million. They must have thought I was coming here. Now, that's how Nigeria's first private equity fund, FAPIN, dedicated to small and medium-sized agribusinesses, was established. Following a very transparent and international and globally competitive bidding process, Sahel Capital was selected to manage the fund. We were impressed, and I was, by Sahel Capital, but I had insisted they had to open a special window for agriculture. Mezwe was very clear in impressive investments through FAFIN. Let me just talk about some of them. Now, one of the investments which I was really very impressed with was one made to expand dairy production in Kano State. At the time, ShopRite supermarkets in Lagos imported all their fresh dairy products from South Africa. Sahel Capital saw an opportunity and invested in a family-owned dairy business, L&Z Farms in Kano, set up by a man and his two wives, whose initials are LNZ? Well, maybe the reason they invested was because they also found another couple doing business together. Now, even though they are three, MD Abubakar and his wonderful two wives, they are really amazing. Sahel Capital revamped the management of LNZ. They helped them to professionalize the staff. They invested in new dairy processing equipment and, of course, lots of new dairy cows. The tide turned. LNZ, in a short period of time, supplied a major share now of the dairy milk at ShopRite supermarkets in Lagos. That's the power of a well-run private equity fund as Sahel Capital, using from FAFIN. Agriculture is Africa's #1 comparative advantage. Transforming agriculture is the fastest way to create wealth and lots of good quality jobs. But the size of the food and agriculture market, estimated at over $1 trillion by 2030, the future millionaires and billionaires of Africa will come from agriculture. Africa must capitalize on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, a market with a population of 1.3 billion people, by producing more food, doing so more efficiently and sustainably through agro-industrialization, one that supports smallholder farmers and, of course, the private sector. Now, that's why I committed our bank, the Developing Bank, to invest $25 billion in agriculture. The bank is supported with 60 million euros the agricultural company of St. Louis in Senegal to process and market 42,000 metric tons of white rice per year in the local market. In Gabon, the bank is supporting with 10 million euros the establishment of new plantations for oil palm value chains that will boost the production and export of refined cooking oil, crumb oil rubber, and toilet soap for domestic and regional markets. In Mali, the bank is supporting Moulin Modern du Mali M3 with 70 million euros to manufacture pasta, couscous, and flour for wheat, for maize, and of course for millet. In Sudan, the bank's $75 million investment in DAL Company, one of Sudan's largest food and agribusiness companies, will support the company's vertically integrated food and agriculture operations to transform Sudan's agriculture and food industry. Of course, right at home there in Nigeria, the bank is supporting Indorama LMA fertilizers and chemicals with $210 million for the construction and operation of 2 urea fertilizer plants, total capacity of 2.8 million tons per year. The bank provided $300 million corporate loan to Dangote Industries, the establishment of crude oil refinery, and a urea fertilizer plant with 2.8 million a year capacity. Now, these investments will soon turn Nigeria from a net fertilizer importing country to a fertilizer exporting nation. That's the way it should be. African agricultural systems must become modern, integrated, and well supported to achieve production and processing of food and agricultural products and farm inputs at scale. We must have chocolate factories. We must have garment textile factories, dairy factories, and meat processing factories. Africa should end being a supplier of raw materials by developing competitive national and regional agricultural value chains. Now, the youth must be encouraged and supported to move into agriculture as a business to create greater value and wealth for the sector, driven by their innovations, smartness, business acumen, and so on. I'm impressed with the large number of youth now moving to agriculture. I feel so proud because it was a movement that helped to catalyze and to ignite with my bow ties. There is excitement everywhere by the youth in agriculture. Already the bank has provided $406 million to support 23,000 young agripreneurs in 14 countries. And just last week, the bank supported $120,000 cash prize awards for dynamic youth-owned agribusinesses being powered by innovations all across the agricultural value chains. Now, the general manager Toto Yao of the youth-owned Agricultural Growth Connector in Togo. Now that's been supported by the bank, said, in 3 years, we have gone from exporting 2,000 tons of soybean to 10,000 tons. That must be the story of African agriculture. Now, that's why the African Development Bank is currently working with other partners to design a Pan-African private equity fund for agriculture. We call it FAFINA, Fund for Agricultural Finance, now in Africa. Expenses from Sahel Capital on the FAFIN Fund will help us as we now scale interventions to support small and medium-sized food and business companies all across Africa. I am delighted that I invested in Sahel Capital and in Mezzo and Ndidi. It was an investment that's now paying off very well. I wish Mezzo and Ndidi and all the staff at Sahel Capital, as well as their investee companies, greater successes ahead. Congratulations.
Join me in saying a big thank you to Dr. Adeshina for that very inspiring speech. He spoke about the very catalytic, innovative, and financing models of the bank in helping to move forward agriculture across the continent. Once again, we say thank you. For you, ladies and gentlemen, we are keen that you share your thoughts in the chat. So let us know what you think as we take this short video. Thank you.
Sahel Consulting Agriculture and Nutrition Limited is a leading management consulting firm committed to unlocking Africa's agriculture and nutrition potential through tailored, innovative, and market research, strategic advisory services, training, and project implementation, thereby impacting communities and achieving sustainable growth. Sahel Consulting's vision is to be recognized as the most trusted consulting partner and point of reference in the African agriculture and nutrition landscape, integral to building effective and efficient value chains and attaining.
We're very proud of our partnership with Sahel. We are implementing partners on the Aldin program with Sahel as the lead. We've also been fortunate to have Sahel help Technocell produce the first ever business case for food fortification in Nigeria. Sahel has consistently demonstrated their passion for Nigeria, their love for agriculture, their never say die attitude, their focus on building leaders for tomorrow, their attention to details, and their continuous pursuit for perfection in everything that they do.
I have to say that one of the big things, the capes that makes Sahel stand out in the industry is their delivery and organizational discipline. They can organize and deliver work to the appreciation of the customer and deliver on time. I have asked them to manage initially one program for me on dairy development in Nigeria, and we work very hard with them along with my other colleagues in BMGF to do some starting pilot work that help everybody to learn about approaches for enhancing smallholder dairy development in our country, and they did styling work, especially in critical relationship building with the private sector-led processors. And it is my fervent hope that Sahel will develop into a compelling consultancy and project management firm that will become the go-to firm in the development space in agriculture in Nigeria.
One area that we must give credit to them is their support for the Commercial Dairy Ranchers Association of Nigeria, which I'm the president. Outside our individual companies, now as an industry, Aldin is.
Pardon me, I think we had a slight technical hitch, but we will move on very quickly. We are beginning to see the reactions and the responses come from our audience. Adekunle Fashino says, congratulations for the milestone achievement. Victor Bachi says, Sahel Consulting has no doubt set the tone to achieving sustainable growth and development. Francis talks about the inspiring welcome remark by Dr. Adeshina, and of course, the great milestones achieved by Sahel. Dr. Antonia Ijeoma talks about, I think she has a question actually. Can you shed more light on the work you have done in all parts of Nigeria? Not exactly sure whether that's a question for Dr. Adeshina or whether it is meant for our people at Sahel. We will see how that goes. Francis talks about the inspiring comments by Dr. Adeshina. And of course, Edward says, great to have had Adeshina, Dr. Adeshina address us this afternoon. Great work we're seeing, and people are already talking about it already. Before we continue, please remember to connect with Sahel online on all social media platforms, at Sahel Consulting, at Sahel Capital, as well as at Nourish Africa. Now, our next keynote speaker is none other than Dr. Agnes Kalibata. She is the UN Special Envoy on the Food Systems Summit and President of the Alliance for Agriculture Revolution in Africa, AGRA. Dr. Kalibata joined AGRA as its president in September 2014. She leads the organization's effort with public and private partners to ensure a food secure and prosperous Africa through rapid, inclusive, sustainable agricultural growth, improving the productivity and livelihoods of millions of smallholder farmers across the continent. Prior to joining AGRA, Dr. Kalibata was Rwanda's Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, a position in which she served as from 2008 to 2014, where she drove programs that moved the country to food security, helping to lift more than 1 million Rwandans out of poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, join me this afternoon in welcoming Dr. Kalibata.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to speak at such an occasion when Sahel Consulting is celebrating 10 years of its existence and service to a critical segment of our economies. We also celebrate unity and your leadership. You have demonstrated that an African woman can lead successful businesses, and now many of us look up to you. According to the African Agricultural Status Report produced last year by AGRA, the African private sector handles 80% of the food consumed on the continent, 90% of the food eaten away from where it's produced, and 64% of the food eaten in our cities. In a nutshell, without these SMEs that the report calls the hidden middle, we would all starve. More than ever, there's greater need to have a stronger collaboration between the public and private sector in agriculture. We must not relent in our concerted effort to double down and partner with African governments and the private sector to deliver on SDG 2. We still have 250 million people that are going to bed hungry every night. I always say that even one hungry person is one too many, amidst the plenty we are living in today. Today, we celebrate Africa's SMEs playing a key role in delivering technologies, extension, markets, and financial services to smallholder farmers. These African SMEs are dynamic. They are working very hard to produce drought-tolerant seed varieties, to provide automated credit scoring tools to farmers, or even to make tractors available through the most recent innovations like Uber for tractors that allows farmers to access tractor services through their mobile phones. Most of these SMEs are owned by young people and driven by data. Sahel's work to transform Africa's agriculture and nutrition landscape is an example of this vibrance, and indeed, congratulations are in order. At AGRA, we see strengthening SME capacity as critical to giving African farmers choices in technologies to increase yield, to ensuring markets and increased incomes, and reducing waste. Putting on my special envoy hat, we see SMEs as central to the transition that Africa's food systems must have. AGRA is committed to SME growth. That's why we are partnering with the AGRF partners to host an annual day room. This September alone, 280 SMEs seeking over $500 million had the opportunity to engage with over 55 investors from across the globe with a focus on Africa. We are working with all stakeholders to translate these deals on the ground. Business like Ndidis and many others on the continent suggest that Africa has a lot going on. We need to learn and adopt what is working. We need to advance these SMEs. We need to support them, especially women and youth SMEs. And most of all, we need to celebrate their success. Congratulations again, Sahel. Congratulations, Ndidi, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalibata. And as you would have noticed, two main issues that we heard Dr. Adesina speak about, innovative financing, as well as partnerships, they all again resonated in Dr. Kalibata's address to us this afternoon. Now let's keep the reactions coming. We really appreciate hearing from you. We want for you to share your thoughts with us. But meanwhile, we will now take another short video on Sahel Capital, and we will come back and join you shortly after.
Sahel Capital Agribusiness Managers Limited is a food and agriculture-focused private equity firm which invests in agribusinesses in West Africa. Sahel Capital has deployed capital across a broad range of value chains, partnering with founders and management teams to scale their companies. Sahel Capital's ethos is anchored on providing capital, leveraging knowledge, building companies, generating returns, and impacting lives. Its vision is to be recognized as the foremost food and agriculture private investment firm in Africa.
I had Sahel Capital in 2013. At the time, I was working in Nigeria alongside the Nigerian Federal Ministry of Agriculture to develop a new and innovative fund that would help contribute to transforming the agriculture sector in Nigeria. This new fund that we wanted to create, the Fund for Agricultural Finance Nigeria, called short FAFIN, was to provide creative and innovative, tailor-made patient capital that is required desperately by the SMEs in that space to transform and flourish. In order to determine who would run FAFIN, we ran across Nigeria and internationally an open and highly competitive tender process. We ultimately selected Sahel Capital, a choice we still feel very excited about today. The reason we selected Sahel Capital was the team's in-depth knowledge in the agricultural space and the passion for agricultural transformation in Nigeria. It was our trust and belief in Sahel's team that led KfW, on behalf of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, jointly with the Nigerian Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, to anchor and launch FAFIN in 2014.
Our investment in FAFIN in 2014 was one of NSI's first interventions to further develop Nigeria's agriculture sector. What caught our attention at the time was Sahel's combination of operational experience alongside investment expertise. I've had the distinct privilege to represent NSI on FAFIN's oversight committee over the past 6 years, and I've seen firsthand the depth of Sahel Capital's commitment to finding, to investing in and working with agribusiness SMEs to optimize and grow their businesses.
The agricultural sector is extremely important to the economic development objectives of the Nigerian government and the Federal Ministry of Finance. There is a need for a more long-term and creative funding to be directed to support agribusiness SMEs across Nigeria. It is precisely for this reason that we at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning have been quite bullish in supporting Sahel Capital and FAFIN over the past 6 years. FAFIN's current portfolio with 7 investments in 6 different states and 4 geopolitical zones highlight the breadth of Sahel Capital's approach. We expect Sahel to do more in the years ahead.
To re-strategize our business, we realized the strong need to collaborate with a key partner who can provide us financial and apt industry knowledge to achieve our anticipated growth and development. We found Sahel Capital as the ideal partner to achieve our goals and aspirations. FAFIN investment in our company in 2019 has not only provided us with the needed capital for growth, but has contributed appropriate operational strategy as well, and that has yielded to sound business development.
On behalf of Koshari's farm and management, I would like to congratulate Sahel Group for 10th anniversary of their doing business in Nigeria and partnership with us. You guys been wonderful. You brought a lot of insight into our board, and we really thank you for partnering with us.
Well, thank you for remaining with us. In that video, we saw shades of Sahel's very innovative work across the ecosystem. We will now be taking a video, a conversation, a very interesting conversation in Ndidi interviews or speaks to Dr. Rajiv Shah, president of the Rockefeller Foundation. Make sure you watch it. It's really good.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shah, for this privilege. We are honored to
a global institution with a mission to promote the well-being of humanity around the world. The foundation applies data, science, and innovation to improving health for women and children, to creating nutritious and sustainable food systems, end energy poverty for more than 1 billion people worldwide, and enable meaningful economic mobility in the United States and around the world. Watch the video.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shah. It's a privilege. We are honored to have you as our keynote speaker as we celebrate our 10th anniversary. And we dig into some questions that we have for you. You have been at the forefront of driving innovation and growth, and you're a big believer in the role of the private sector. And as we push towards 2030 and achieving the SDG 2, which is zero hunger, what must Africa do to truly achieve these gains that we expect in the agriculture and food landscape?
Well, thank you for having me, and congratulations on 10 years. It's such an important question. You know, I remember after during the global financial crisis of 2008, we saw these tremendous increases in malnutrition for children and in hunger and insecurity in Africa in particular, but in many other parts of the world as well. And, you know, I think if we look back, I think I would say there have been big efforts led by, you know, all kinds of nations and public entities to invest in and transform agriculture. I think the piece that needs more attention is, in fact, the private sector and the welcoming of new agricultural technologies, the capacity to support real investment and modernization of agriculture infrastructure, the use of digital technology that can accelerate agricultural systems modernization, and frankly, a mindset shift that is much more focused on nutrition and sustainability, as opposed to following a more traditional path of simply increasing the productive yields of certain grain crops. So there's much to be done. And as we look at the impact of COVID-19 around the world, I suspect that the next decade will only be successful if we really embrace technology, innovation, and private investment in agriculture and food systems in a way that's really about sustainability and nutrition.
Terrific. I also know that the Rockefeller Foundation has been pushing for protective foods, nutritious foods, and you refer to this prioritization of nutritious food. And the SOFI report from 2020, the FAO report, states that 57% of households in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia cannot afford healthy diets. I mean, this is a really, really alarming statistic. What can we do to change that narrative? And what are some of the innovative approaches that you've been leading or that you've seen on the continent that we should embrace and scale?
Well, first, I think we very much have to just set the goal of changing that dynamic. We see in the United States, for example, this is not specific to Africa. In the United States, the #1 cause of disease-related morbidity and ultimately mortality is diet. All the chronic diseases that are debilitating for much of the American population, coronary artery disease, cardiovascular issues, diabetes in particular, we now know the science that proves that these diseases are in fact a function of people consuming a poor quality Western diet is what it's often referred to with a huge amount of pre-processed foods and a tremendous amount of added fat, sodium, and sugar. And so the reality is we need different societies and different nations and different food systems around the world to think about agricultural transformation and modernization and achieve that goal, but to do it in a way that's far different than what has transpired in industrial countries today. And so, that might be using technology to improve the nutrition content of foods overall. It might be a major shift from the consumption of certain types of unhealthy carbohydrates to a much more focused effort to build out access to legumes, vegetables, nutritious protective foods. And the reason they're called protective foods is the science actually proves that they protect against long-term disease burden. And, the fastest growing disease burden in all over the world is related to diet-related disease. So this is going to be necessary whether you're in Texas in the United States or Nigeria or parts of India or parts of Southeast Asia. It's a global reality that we have to rethink food systems and promote protective and nutritious diets.
Thank you so much. And I know that you've pushed for the ecosystem approach, which is really saying, we can't operate in silos. The health, the nutrition, the agriculture, the energy, all these different landscapes and sectors have to collaborate. But we continue to operate in silos. What will take us further to actually collaborate and partner to achieve these goals and to address zero hunger?
Well, I for one think that the only way you really get large-scale collaboration is if consumer demand requires it. So, when consumers say we want alternative, sustainable protein instead of far less sustainable animal protein, or when consumers express a preference for healthier foods with a greater proportion of legumes and vegetables and leafy greens, as opposed to foods of convenience that are highly processed with lots of additives, that's when you'll start to see the large-scale public-private partnerships, that would tie together farmers and producers alongside processors and marketers. And I don't think we have an answer as to how we're going to get there yet. That's why innovation is required. It's true that as almost every society goes from, on average, kind of $2 to $5 of income a day to $20 to $30 of income a day on a per capita basis, we see huge increases in the consumption of animal protein. We see very, very significant increases in the consumption of processed foods with added sugar and added fat and added sodium. And we just have to break that cycle. And it's going to take the kind of innovation that you can't just look to some societies and say, oh, they've done it. I mean, there are countries that have put in place real regulatory efforts and coupled that with investment in supply chains and consumer marketing and behavior, but they're few and far between. And the great preponderance of industrial food takes us to a place that's really deeply unhealthy and quite lacking in sustainability.
So that's where innovation comes in, and why the private sector is so important to this conversation. Now, Raj, I know that the Rockefeller Foundation has been a catalyst and is currently serving as a catalyst for ending energy poverty on the African continent. I mean, I'm so excited about the pioneering work you've been doing in this area. How does this work unlock private sector engagement in the food ecosystem? And are there some tangible examples that we can embrace when we think about energy for agriculture?
Well, you know, I think anyone who has been to a agricultural community in Africa that is still, you know, using very unreliable access to power or has no access to power at all sees the consequence of that. It's usually women farmers that are then forced to produce a tremendous amount of post-harvest processing activities without the assistance of productivity enhancing tools and technologies. It's foods that are not able to be protected, and so they are lost to waste. It limits and really reduces the ability to transport different types of foods, particularly more nutritious types of foods. And so it changes the relative prices in markets of foods that are less nutritious become relatively cheaper, and foods that are more nutritious become even more expensive than they otherwise would be. So, you know, energy is the tremendous unlocking force that enables everybody everywhere to be more productive against their goals, whatever those goals are. So the Rockefeller Foundation, you're right, has launched a multi-billion-dollar effort to end energy poverty. We believe it's possible that new technologies like renewable solar technology, new energy storage technologies like lithium-ion batteries that are becoming cheaper and cheaper, new AI systems that allow you to manage the mini grids from afar and reduce the labor costs of running those operations, and use smart metering technologies that allow families to pay for what they consume, and meters that allow for that to be real and automated. The technology frontier has made it such that we absolutely can and should make sure that every human being has access to reliable and clean energy in 10 years. And if we can't achieve that, I don't think we're going to achieve other goals as they relate to the Sustainable Development Goals overall. So we're all in on that effort. You know, we've seen great examples of success from Nigeria to East Africa to India, where we're building out 10,000 rural mini grids to reach 10 million people in a joint venture with Tata Power. And we unlock a tremendous amount of innovation and ingenuity and human labor productivity in the agricultural sector, but also in the SME, small business sector, as well as every other part of the economy.
Well, thank you for your pioneering work and your investments. Now, under normal circumstances, Raj, you'll be standing in front of a room of 1,000 entrepreneurs, and you could look them in the eyeball and give them a charge or a hope for the future. What would you say to African entrepreneurs at this time? What is their responsibility, and what actionable steps should they be taking to ensure that we achieve zero hunger?
Well, I don't know that I would say what their responsibility is. I think the opportunity, of course, is to create innovative new businesses that can improve access to nutritious food, do it in a sustainable way, and use market forces and the profit incentive to actually reach scale. And, you know, I would just say that if you're in Africa and you're in that business and you're an entrepreneur, you have this tremendous opportunity to rethink what food systems could be. Because on a relative basis, compared to other parts of the world, you still have, you know, more open space, but, you know, you have less of a reliance on very large scale, totally industrialized food systems. You have less of, say, even the subsidy infrastructure that has locked in the price of corn and the price of sugar in the United States. You have some flexibility to have an economic pathway for agricultural transformation that's perhaps more creative than one that is defined by, very, very, very cheap commodity prices for 2 or 3 input commodities. And that could unlock a tremendous amount of ingenuity and a tremendous amount of experimentation and some real business model successes that hopefully the rest of the world can learn from. So I don't know, I speak much about responsibility, but I would talk a lot about opportunity because to some extent, the technology coinciding with, the backdrop of African agriculture makes a lot possible.
Thank you so much. And my last question. So 2020 has been a very difficult year for so many entrepreneurs. What keeps you hopeful about the future? And how can we channel that hope to collaborate across countries and across continents to achieve zero hunger?
Well, I'm hopeful because, periods of great stress often give rise to innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship that is harder to come by when everything feels like it's status quo. I see that in businesses all around the world. I'm reminded of something Bill Gates used to say that was quite important, that he started Microsoft in the midst of a significant recession in the United States. And in the same way, I believe that the pressures of 2020, the reality of COVID, the World Bank is estimating that up to 500 million people will be pushed back under an expanded definition of the poverty line. The threats to food insecurity and the fact that COVID is likely to become an endemic disease through parts of Africa will just force a level of creativity and aspiration that says building back to what we had before is simply not good enough. We have to do better. And the agriculture sector is probably the best example of that because, the way people defined success 5-10 years ago in agriculture as an economic development strategy makes your entire population really sick and very unhealthy and destroys the environment. And so the fact that we're reassessing that aspiration and being more creative and more focused on nutrition, on sustainability, and on innovation to get there is perhaps the silver lining from this very strange and very difficult year.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajiv Shah, President of the Rockefeller Foundation. Thank you for spending the time with us. Thank you for your great insights. Thank you for inspiring us. And thank you for the great work you're doing with the Rockefeller Foundation in Africa and across the world.
Thank you, Ndidi.
Join me in thanking Dr. Shah for his very valuable contribution. We will, and of course, thank you to Ndidi who asked the questions. We will now take a short video on Nourish Africa and the impact it is making.
There are emerging groups of dynamic, visionary, and committed entrepreneurs operating in the African agriculture and food landscapes. Yet, many of them struggle for survival in very difficult and often hostile environments. As a direct response to their needs, Sahel Consulting launched Nourishing Africa in September 2019. Nourishing Africa is a knowledge and membership platform aimed at helping agri-food entrepreneurs from farm to fork scale their agribusinesses across Africa. The mission of Nourishing Africa is to drive the profitable and sustainable growth of the African agriculture and food landscapes by attracting, empowering, equipping, connecting, and celebrating over 1 million dynamic and innovative young African agripreneurs. This is with the vision of a flourishing, sustainable, and just food ecosystem which leverages ag tech and digital innovations driven by Africa's vibrant entrepreneurs to ensure that the continent nourishes itself, is food secure, and becomes a net exporter of food by 2050.
Mastercard Foundation in its footprints to ensure that 10 million young Nigerians obtain fulfilling and dignifying work. 2030 partnered with Sahel Consulting September 2019 and funded Sahel Consulting to enable it set up NourishingAfrica.com platform, and this was born out of Sahel's need to help agri-food entrepreneurs who were struggling to survive in the hostile environment. So that platform is a space where the agri-food entrepreneurs and those dealing in other agri-value chain ventures can go to find information about access to funding, where they can go to the financial services providers or put out their goods and services, network with each other. So it's a hub that pulls in agri-food entrepreneurs across Africa, not only in Nigeria. So what Sahel Consulting has done with the NourishingAfrica.com platform is that it has pulled in more than 1 million agri-food entrepreneurs across the continent and continues to make its footprint known. So in that regard, they can celebrate those who are in that industry, their speaking engagements, really opening up access to market to these entrepreneurs and providing them with capacity building so that they can remove themselves from cycles of poverty.
I am Claudia Castellanos, co-founder and managing director of Black Mamba. Black Mamba contributes to the SDG of Zero Hunger by training the farmers we work with in regenerative agriculture and fostering them to grow their own food besides growing fresh produce for Black Mamba. This not only contributes overall food security and zero hunger, but also to the health of the communities because they're able to now eat organically grown fresh vegetables. Our work as Black Mamba wouldn't be possible without the support of organizations such as Nourishing Africa. Nourishing Africa is an amazing organization that has a platform full of resources and knowledge, very useful for agripreneurs and anyone in general that wants to learn more or contribute to the agricultural landscape in Africa. So if you're an agripreneur willing to grow your business and improving the positive footprint in agriculture in Africa, I strongly recommend you become a member.
Sahel prides itself in having a learning culture and conducting original research on critical issues in the agriculture and nutrition landscape and sharing it widely. Through the Sahel Quarterly, a publication put together by Sahel Consulting, Sahel Capital, and Nourishing Africa, the group shares new insights, best practices, data, and innovation in the agriculture and food landscape. Giving back is another cornerstone of the Sahel Group's ethos. Sahel's corporate shared values include community empowering initiatives and Sahel's Scholars Program. The community empowerment initiatives foster the development of thriving communities through the implementation of humanitarian projects focused on education, health, and WASH support. Each year, the Sahel team members donate funds to a pool, which the organization matches 2- or 3-fold. The team members then select initiatives worthy of support. The Sahel Scholars Program was introduced in 2017 with the aim to empower outstanding Nigerian students through conferences, internships, mentorships, and scholarships. Over the last 3 years, Sahel has reached 12 tertiary institutions with over 2,000 students participating in its Scholars Conference, awarded scholarships to 10 students in their penultimate year, and fully employed 1 outstanding scholar.
I heard about the internship opportunity from my branch advisor in 400 level. Working at Sahel Consulting was a constant learning experience for me. I was able to see that agriculture has really evolved and is now a business being discussed in conference room. I learned professionalism at speak, work ethics, soft and technical skills, which has really helped me. Now I can confidently say which area I would like to go in agriculture. Thanks to Sahel Consulting for this great opportunity.
Through the Sahel Scholars Program in 2018, I was offered internship to work with highly motivated young team willing to catalyze Africa's agriculture and nutrition landscape. After my internship in 2019, I was offered a full-time employment as a business analyst. Thank you.
Well done to Nourish Africa for the great and impactful work you are doing. I will now be having a conversation with a very unique Nigerian entrepreneur, Dr. Cosmas Maduka, CON. In Nigeria, CON stands for Commander of the Order of the Niger. Dr. Maduka is founder, group chairman of Coscharis Group. He started Coscharis Motors in 1977. And over the years, he has transformed the group into a conglomerate with diverse interests in automobile, food and agriculture, manufacturing and information technology sectors in Nigeria. Coscharis Motors PLC is a sole dealer of leading automobile brands such as Rolls-Royce, BMW, Mini, Jaguar, Land Rover, Ford Motor Company, and Abro AutoCare. Dr. Maduka has always been driven with the vision of creating an institution that will be timeless in its relevance. We will now, I hope he is hearing me, I can see him very clearly. We will now have a conversation. You're welcome, sir, Dr. Maduka. Over the past 40 years, you have built Coscharis Group, which has diverse interests in the automobile, manufacturing, and information technology sectors in Nigeria. What made you to venture into agriculture and in particular, rice? Thank you, sir. I hope you are hearing me because I think we had some network challenge. I wanted to follow up with a second question, or I see you're trying to fix. Okay. Now, if you're hearing me, let me follow up with a second question if you're hearing me. Coscharis is today Coscharis has a 36,000 metric tons per annum rice mill and a 2,500 hectare farm. However, I'm sure the journey was not as easy as it might seem. So what are some of the challenges that you faced over the last several years overseeing this huge farm, and how did you overcome them? So what happened? But is anyone hearing him? What do we do? So can I move on then? Well, we seem to have lost our guest, Dr. Maduka. I have absolutely no doubt he had quite some very interesting and revealing things to tell us, but we will have to move on anyway. We have a very interesting set of sessions to follow. Sahel has curated a range of critical topics and areas of engagement critical to scaling the. This will be discussed during the 6 concurrent panel sessions today, starting off with the first 3 panels. You have the option to join panel 1, which is on agricultural development and economic transformation from a global perspective. That's a fireside chat. Or panel 2 on leveraging technology and innovation to leapfrogging. Or indeed panel 3, which will discuss the impact of big data on the food ecosystem. You can join sessions by using the scroll bar at the top left of your screen by clicking on any of the session and selecting your preferred panel. Feel free to ask questions and engage with the panels during the session. I'll see you in a bit.
So it's working.
You can hear us now, eh?
You can hear us?
Yeah. That device we were using before.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Okay.
What about this? Can you hear me? Okay. So it's good to go like this. Well, it's just that I would like to test my face to see.
I mute the mic for now. Okay.
My blessing on now, favor more than on me. Goodness and mercy follow me every day. Everything when I touch for this life, anything when I want. Not my joy, she not push you. I mean better. I mean you blend the dirty, no mind them. If bottom belly come me, you buy them. My time don't come me up. I every day, oh, showers of rain on me. Shine the money where you want, oh, I be on fair amount, oh yeah. Time it don't come, oh, I you. Happiness knocking for the one. Prosperity something long way one. I'm blessing calling, oh, I you. I should you up, oh, wherever we go. Victory, when not the finish. I need to meet you. Look, you know, go on. No more tension, no wala. To the all out day. Oh, what's it there? How was it all out there? I don't feel that if you believe, oh, Shami, oh, Shami, oh, I'll be real. I owe me there, every day, oh, showers of blessing rain on me. Shine the money where you want, oh, I'll be on fair amount, oh, yeah. Time it don't come, oh, I you. Happiness knocking for the one. Prosperity something long way one. I'm blessing calling, oh, I you. I tell you, go me around. I tell you, go me around. Olori we are come around. We are dancing the dance of follow. As we go, money go follow. Before you ask, go answer. I see me dele, all about me dele. Shina money we go, be over a month, oh yeah. Time it don't come, joy don't come, oh I'm happiness not in for the one. Prosperity something long way one.